Okay, so there are the kind of quadratic expressions that we are looking here now is actually in this form of ax squared plus bx plus c. Not that straightforward to factorize. This is not as straightforward as factorizing just simply x squared minus 4x, for example. So we can introduce something called the multiplication frame. Some of you might be familiar with either using this method or the other method over here. So for example, some of you might be used to doing this, right? Or some of you might be used to doing this. I'm going to show you both in this first example, and subsequently I'll show you how to use, and subsequently I might choose one of them for each example. Now there are 4 cases over here. The first case is where you have a quadratic expression in the form of x squared plus bx plus c, where you have a coefficient b and you have a constant term c that is a positive number. So simply factorizing this means that I would like to get something times something, and if we use the quadratic multiplication frame, okay, what we're going to do is going to use this is the new type of multiplication frame. You're going to put a times here, and you're going to put, imagine that there is like dotted lines over here, right? So I'm just going to make it a dotted line over here, and I'll make this another dotted line, right? Now this is where you will place the terms of whatever you need. In this case, you're going to use the x squared term first, and you use the positive 4. What happens is, what do you get on the other side, right? So you usually in multiplication frame, you will actually ask yourself, what over here times what will give you this? So this times this will give you something here. This times this will give you something here. So we're going to do some checks. Of course, for x squared, it's very simple. We can only have x times x. Okay. Now the second one would be positive 4. There are a few ways to get positive 4, but the goal is actually whatever is inside here in this box and whatever is inside this box will eventually add up to give you this term over here. So you need to do some check. Firstly, you go through the factors of 4. If it's, you do some, use a pencil, you give it a try. Maybe positive 2 times positive 2, and you do 2 times x, and that gives you 2x over here, positive 2x, and you get positive 2x over here as well, because you will have positive 2 times x. But this doesn't really give you, because positive 2x plus positive 2x does not give you positive 5. So you need to erase them. That's why you should use a pencil here, and ask yourself what factors actually add up to give you positive 5. So a factor of 1 and 4 is essentially as simple as doing maybe positive 4 times positive 1. And hence, from here, we get positive 4x. Oops, sorry. We have positive 4x, and we have, in this case, positive x. 1 times x just gives you positive x. Now, you ask yourself the question, does this add up to the term? And it does. Your answer is actually pretty straightforward now. X squared plus 5x plus 4 is equals to something times something, right? And if you look very carefully over here, you have this times this. And so your answer is as simple as x plus 4 times x plus 1. Okay, the multiplication frame is just a method. You don't exactly need to show it as a working, but it's a method to actually figure it out. The second method that I am actually pretty used to this one. It's a little bit of like an invisible multiplication going on. What we learned, or what I learned as a student back then, was to place the terms and the x squared and the positive 4 there, and we leave the constant term, the term of x, in that corner, and we will ask ourselves the same question: what multiplies to give x squared? Now from here, I will ask myself the same question: what times what gives me 5, and in this case, positive 1 and positive 4, right? Of course, and then we will do some what we call a cross multiplication. And when we do cross multiplication, we get, in this case, positive x and positive 4x. And there we go. That is case 1.